Hello everybody and welcome to the third video in our series of videos on the Reformation. As always, we begin with our learning outcomes, so by the end of this presentation you guys should know 4 reasons why Luther was able to launch Reformation. You guys should be able to explain justification by faith alone, and finally you should be able to recount the story of Martin Luther up until 1520. So today we are going to look at how Martin Luther sparked the event known as the Reformation, which led to a permanent split in the Catholic Church. But before we launch into the life of Martin Luther, we are going to quickly summarize some of the reasons why Martin Luther was able to launch the Reformation. As we saw in our first video, people were very unhappy about the abuses of the church: pluralism, absenteeism, the sale of indulgences, nepotism, and simony. And we use the acronym PAINS to help us remember those 5 words. On top of that, we have seen how early reformers like John Wycliffe were unhappy with the wealth of the clergy, as they still collected the tax known as the tithe, in which every farmer had to give 1/10 of their produce to the local diocese. Also, the church expected high standards of their followers and were quick to crush any heresies like the Cathar movement or the Lollards quite violently, but they themselves were regularly engaged in less than pious or holy behaviour, as we saw in our study of the Renaissance, with popes having mistresses and children, which was common practice also among priests and bishops. And finally, the thing that I feel is probably the most important reason as to Martin Luther successfully launching the Reformation is the development of the printing press in 1450 by a man called Johann Gutenberg. Wycliffe and Hus didn't have access to the printing press, so the church could hunt down written copies of their teachings and destroy them. But by the time of Luther, the printing press was well established, and when his ideas began to be printed, it became almost impossible for the church to root out and suppress his ideas due just to the sheer number of copies of his ideas. So, who was Martin Luther and what were his ideas? Luther was born in Saxony in the Holy Roman Empire in 1483, and after studying to become a lawyer, he shocked his family when he decided to become a monk. He joined the Augustinian order of monks, and just like Wycliffe, he became a theologian. His studies of the Bible led him to question the practices of the Catholic Church, and he developed the idea he's probably most associated with at this time: justification by faith alone. He believed that it wasn't good deeds or indulgences that would help people find salvation. Now, salvation meant to go to heaven after you died, but so he believed to achieve salvation, it was the faith that you had in God that would help you to find it. In 1517, a Dominican friar or a travelling monk called John or Johann Tetzel was sent to Saxony to sell indulgences. This was a pure money grab from the Pope and the Archbishop of Mainz, who was in charge of religious matters in Saxony. Pope Leo X, he was Lorenzo de' Medici's grandson, needed money to fund the extravagant rebuilding of St. Peter's Basilica, while Archbishop Albrecht of Mainz needed money to repay some of the money he had borrowed to bribe his way into the job of Archbishop. A real classic case of simony there. Luther saw how wrong this was, and he wrote 95 arguments or 95 theses against the sale of indulgences. Luther's 95 theses were written in Latin and reportedly nailed to the church door in Wittenberg, where he worked. We're not sure if this actually happened, but the church door would have been something like the local notice board. He also sent a letter to the Archbishop Albrecht of Mainz outlining his concerns and a copy of the 95 Theses. The 95 Theses was translated into German and spread quickly thanks to the invention of the printing press. Hearing news of this disturbance in Saxony, Pope Leo X sent a man called a Papal Legate known as Cardinal Catejan in 1518 to examine and test Luther's teachings and to get him to recant or to take back what he had said. Luther refused and escaped before he could be arrested. In 1519, a famous theologian called John Eck was sent to publicly debate Luther's ideas. And in this debate, Luther questioned the Pope's authority, with Eck dubbing Luther the new Jan Hus. As Luther's popularity and defiance grew, Pope Leo X took the step to issue a papal bull to Martin Luther in 1520. A papal bull is a formal letter from the Pope. The papal bull, named Exsurge Domin, or Arise, O Lord, told Luther that he needed to stop or he would be excommunicated. Excommunication, remember, means that he wouldn't be able to take the sacraments and would then be damned to hell for eternity. On the 10th of December 1520, Luther took the drastic step to burn the papal bull in public, confirming his excommunication. And in the next video, we will look at the consequences of this burning of the papal bull. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. So by now, you guys should know 4 reasons why Luther was able to launch a Reformation. You guys should be able to explain justification by faith alone. And finally, you should be able to recount the story of Martin Luther up until 1520. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys got something good from this video.